They thought you were disposable, easy to break, easy to replace, easy to erase. But here's the part that eats them alive at 2 a.m. They were dead wrong. You didn't just survive their betrayal. You evolved into a version of yourself that walks like silence, but strikes like thunder. And now, their piece has a crack in it, shaped exactly like you. They thought ghosting you would bury you, that ignoring your worth would make it disappear, that playing cold would make you chase. But you didn't chase, you vanished, quietly. No tantrum, no announcement, just silence. And that silence hit louder than anything you could have said. Because the day you stopped reacting was the day their power shattered. You delivered a checkmate with no words, no rage, just precision. Before we go deeper into this villainous transformation, if you feel this truth in your bones, hit the like button and subscribe. Not for me, for us, for every chosen one who's been underestimated, discarded, and now walks like a shadow people pray doesn't resurface. This is how we grow stronger together. Now let's talk aftermath. They expected tears. Instead, they got distance. They expected weakness. Instead, they got mystery. And mystery is terrifying to control freaks. You became the glitch in their fake reality. The storm they thought they were immune to. You flipped the script without warning, and that's why they're still haunted. You see, people don't lose sleep over who they left. They lose sleep over who they misjudged. Your transformation wasn't loud, it was surgical. You upgraded in the background. While they were bragging to their circle about how they moved on, you were outgrowing the entire pattern that created them. And by the time they realized what was happening, you were already gone, not just physically, but energetically. Your frequency changed. Your access was revoked. They weren't blocked. They were outclassed. What stings the most isn't that you won. It's how you won. You didn't become bitter. You became better. You didn't clap back. You became the standard. And now they're out there, scanning every room for someone like you. Spoiler, they're not finding anyone. You were the blueprint they crumpled, and now they're stuck trying to replicate something their ego told them was average. People always talk tough when they think you're beneath them. But when you evolve in silence, when you stop explaining yourself, stop justifying your worth, stop engaging with disrespect, that's when the fear kicks in. That's when they realize they were never in control. It was all an illusion. And you were just letting them believe it. Until you didn't. I'm not here to romanticize your pain. I'm here to weaponize it, because you took hits most people couldn't recover from. Betrayal, humiliation, abandonment, things that shatter the average. But you walked out of the wreckage with a smirk and a silence so loud the whole room started to feel guilty. That's power. That's real vengeance. Not revenge, evolution. The kind that doesn't need an audience, just presence. You want a story? Let's go back. Remember that time they told you you were too much, too intense, too emotional, too deep? That was their shallow soul drowning in your depth. They couldn't handle the light, so they blamed you for making them squint. You were never too much. You were just too real for people used to fake connections. Now fast forward, you walk in a room and everything shifts. Not because you're loud, but because your energy carries a record of every time you got up when you should have stayed down. That's not charisma. That's spiritual momentum. You earned it in pain. You polished it in solitude. You carry it like a storm trapped in calm skin. And they feel it, even when they pretend they don't. That sudden pause when your name comes up, that's guilt, that's regret, that's shame doing push-ups in their chest. Because deep down, they know you didn't just leave, you upgraded. You didn't move on, you transcended. You didn't heal to get them back, you healed to never go back. And now, you're not just unforgettable, you're untouchable. The memory of you is both a museum and a mirror, a reminder of what they had and what they'll never earn again. You became the plot twist that turned their entire story into a cautionary tale. Not because you tried to win, but because you walked away like a legend while they were still playing checkers in a chess game. You ended in one move. Welcome to your villain era. But here's the twist. The villain they feared was the hero they created. Now let's finish the story they can't stop reading. And now, Chosen One, if you're still here, that means the fire inside you hasn't died. It's only getting louder. You felt every word like it was carved into your story, didn't you? That's because this isn't just a video, it's a mirror. A war cry, a blueprint for the ones who were underestimated, betrayed, and left behind, only to rise in silence and haunt the ones who tried to erase them. So if you know deep down that your checkmate still echoes in their soul, stay with me. We're about to break it down piece by piece, every silent move you made, every shift they didn't see coming. Drop the number 777 in the comments if you're ready to own the power of being unforgettable. Because trust me, if you're a real one, a true chosen one, you won't just watch this. You'll feel it. And by the end, you won't be the same. Let's keep going. This next part, this is where their illusion completely collapsed. Number 1. You didn't just win, you erased their blueprint and built your own empire. They studied your weakness like it was a manual. Now they're choking on the fact that you never needed their approval to become a legend. Let's be crystal clear. They weren't ready for the version of you that rose from the wreckage. What rattled them wasn't your comeback. It was your unpredictability. They planned for a rebound, a relapse, a regret-filled text. Not a total rebirth. You didn't just win, you erased everything they thought they understood about you and built something so untouchable it made their entire game plan worthless. That's not growth, that's domination. And the worst part for them, you didn't even announce it. You let your silence do the slaughtering. They were banking on the same old tactics. Provoke you, drain you, guilt-trip you, compare you. That's how they won with others. But when it came to you, they forgot something crucial. You weren't built like the others. You weren't just playing to survive anymore. You were building an empire inside your mind while they were still flexing illusions. And when your upgrade hit, it exposed just how small their strategy really was. While they were busy watching your past, you were quietly rewriting your future. They were scripting out drama, conflict, and closure, but you were already in a different genre. No more explaining, no more reacting, no more defending yourself against people committed to misunderstanding you. They thought they had you categorized, predictable, soft-hooked. What they didn't realize was you had already deleted the version of yourself that ever needed validation from someone who weaponized your love. You weren't just healing, you were vanishing from their access, evaporating from their grip. And when you reappeared, you weren't the same. You weren't trying to fix anything. You weren't trying to be chosen. You became the consequence. And consequences don't chase people, they find them silently and surgically. Let's break this down for the chosen ones who need to hear it in plain language. Their entire power over you depended on you not knowing your own power. The second you stopped explaining, the second you stopped arguing, the second you stopped hoping they'd see your worth, you triggered a collapse in their control system. They were running off the assumption that you'd never walk away, that your loyalty was a leash, that you'd keep circling their games, desperate for scraps. But you didn't just walk away, you disappeared with dignity. And now they're scrambling, confused, bitter, humbled because the playbook they designed was written for someone who doesn't exist anymore. The guilt trips don't land. The fake check-ins feel empty. The old dynamics no longer apply. You upgraded so far out of their range that even if they screamed your name from the rooftops, your spirit wouldn't flinch. You evolved into silence so loud it makes their whole identity feel counterfeit. What makes this even more brutal for them is the ease with which you did it. You didn't destroy them with revenge. You destroyed them with absence. No tantrum, no breakdown, no scandal, just silence, elevation, and self-respect. That's what shook them to their core. You became the kind of energy they can't touch without burning, the kind of story they'll twist to make themselves feel better. But truth has a way of sitting heavy. And this truth feels like a rock in their throat. Let me say it louder for the ones still healing. You are not who they left. You are not who they ignored. You are not the echo of someone who begged to be seen. You are the quiet storm that exposed how weak their control always was. And now they're haunted by a simple fact they'll never admit out loud. They never had power over you. They just had access, and you took it back. Every insult they threw was a blueprint for who they feared you might become. Too much? Translation: they couldn't match your depth. Too sensitive. Translation: your empathy made them feel exposed. Too intense. Translation: you saw through the mask they show the world. They didn't leave because you were broken. They left because they knew you were about to outgrow the box they built for you. And now you're proof that their version of you was never the final one. Now let's talk impact. Because your growth didn't just affect them, it flipped the energy around you. People move different around you now. The room shifts when you walk in. Even those who never spoke on it feel it. That aura, it's not just confidence, it's earned clarity. You walk like someone who's been through hell and took notes. You carry silence like a blade, and the ones who played with you, they feel the cut, even if they never admit it. They can't clown on you anymore because your presence hits different now. You don't argue, you don't prove, you don't flex, you just exist. And that existence is louder than any revenge plot they could imagine. You became the part of their story they can't rewrite, the scar they can't cover, the warning label for the next person they try to manipulate. So to every chosen one reading this, hold your power. Don't water it down to make others comfortable. Don't explain it to people who threw stones at your old self. Don't apologize for becoming unforgettable. Your evolution was the checkmate, and not just any move, a silent, clean, strategic slaughter that collapsed their ego without you lifting a finger. And them? They're left with nothing but memories of a version of you they thought they could control, and the realization that they underestimated the very soul that would rise and erase their blueprint without saying a word. You didn't just rewrite their playbook. You burned it, walked away from the ashes, and built an empire in silence, and that haunts them forever. Number 2. They can't unsee the fact that you unmasked them in silence. There's nothing more terrifying than being seen by someone who no longer needs you. They can pretend all they want. Fake smiles, surface-level laughter, carefully curated "I'm doing great" energy. But they can't erase the moment you saw them. Not the version they post, not the image they perform for others, the real them. You saw the cracks in the character, the wires behind the puppet, and the worst part, you never flinched, you never reacted, you just observed and walked away with a smirk that said, "Nice mask." Shame it doesn't fit anymore. You didn't need evidence, you didn't need them to admit it. Your spirit read it before their mouth even opened. Every lie was just noise to you. Every contradiction was another red flag you collected in silence. And that right there? That's what sends a chill down their spine even now. It's not what you did, it's what you knew, and how calm you were about it. They weren't exposed because you dragged their secrets into the light. They were exposed because you looked at them and didn't blink. They spent years perfecting their illusion, charisma dipped in manipulation, compliments laced with competition, concern dressed up as control. They had everyone else convinced, friends, family, even themselves. But not you. From day one, your soul kept notes. You noticed how they twisted conversations just enough to feel dominant. You felt how their support disappeared the second you started shining. You caught the tone shift every time you set a boundary. Imagine this: a magician spends years mastering sleight-of-hand tricks. The lights dim, the crowd watches in awe. But one person in the room, just one, watches with stillness. No applause, no gasp, just calm eyes, unmoved. That's who you were to them. Everyone else saw magic. You saw the wires. And when the show ended, you didn't need to call it fake. You just left. And that's what shattered them. Because the game they played wasn't just about fooling you, it was about controlling the version of themselves you believed in. The mask wasn't just to impress, it was to distract, to hide the fact that deep down they were hollow, insecure, petty, jealous of your light but addicted to your warmth. And the second they realized you'd seen through it, panic mode. You became their silent reckoning, the unspeakable chapter they skip over when telling their side of the story. Because how do you explain someone who read your soul and didn't expose you, but still left you feeling naked? That's power they don't know how to fight. They weren't afraid of losing you. They were afraid of you knowing them and walking away anyway. You became the mirror they tried to avoid. The one that didn't flatter, didn't distort, didn't lie. It just showed them the raw version of who they really were when all the filters fell away. That image, that reflection, it stays with them. Not because you blasted it publicly, but because your silence made it louder than any words ever could. And that's what they'll never outrun. They can block you, smear you, pretend they've forgotten, but the moment your name even enters a conversation, their chest tightens, because your presence didn't just mark a chapter in their life. It revealed truth. And truth doesn't fade. It haunts. They wonder, does anyone else see me like that now? Did they tell others what they saw? That paranoia. That's their guilt screaming, because they know they were seen, not the version they rehearsed, but the raw, flawed, manipulative self they hoped no one would notice. And you didn't just notice, you left with that knowledge intact. You weren't the storm. You were the forecast they ignored until the sky cracked open. Some nights they replay it all. Not the moments you argued, the moments you didn't, the moments you didn't explain why you distanced yourself, the moments you went quiet while they pushed louder. That's what gets them. The way you disappeared with dignity instead of drama. The way you chose peace over proof. And that haunts narcissists, manipulators, cowards, because their worst fear isn't exposure. It's irrelevance. And when you stopped engaging, stopped feeding their need to be seen, stopped needing them, they felt themselves shrinking in their own story. They were the villain, and you never even needed to say it. They thought they were complicated, hard to read. But you saw straight through, and instead of reacting, you leveled up. That's what breaks their mind in half. You didn't weaponize what you knew, you just walked away knowing. And now they're out here trying to pretend it didn't happen, while secretly hoping no one else ever sees them like you did. Imagine, they're at a table with their new supply, laughing, charming, selling the illusion again. But in the back of their mind, your face flickers. You knew. And no matter how much applause they gather now, that knowledge lingers like a shadow under the spotlight. You became their subconscious, the part of themselves they can't lie to anymore. This is the gift and the curse of being a chosen one. You don't just experience people, you decode them, you read them, and once you've read the real version, it's impossible to go back. You can't unsee betrayal hiding behind kindness. You can't unhear envy wrapped in fake praise. And once they know you saw it, game over. And no, you didn't need to ruin their life. Life does that on its own. You were the mirror, not the punishment, but the reflection you showed them. It became their echo, a reminder that somewhere out there is a soul who knows who they really are. And that knowledge, that haunts more than any revenge ever could. So to every chosen one walking away in silence, hold your head high. They don't fear your wrath. They fear your clarity. And they can't unsee what you saw. You were the chapter they thought they could skip. But you became the entire plot twist that changed the ending. Let them pretend, let them smile, let them lie, but deep down they know. You saw everything and left anyway. And that, my friend, is a pain they'll never outrun. Number 3, you shattered their throne. It was cardboard all along. They weren't powerful, you were just too loyal to call out the costume. Let's make one thing brutally clear. They never had real power. What they had was performance, smoke, mirrors, and a fragile ego dressed up as dominance. The second you stopped reacting, the illusion cracked. And when you walked away without the need to explain, apologize, or beg, it didn't just bruise their pride, it annihilated it. Because their power only existed when you stayed under it. Control disguised as confidence collapses the moment it's no longer fed. They called themselves strong because they could manipulate, because they could twist your emotions, because they were loud, sarcastic, dismissive, mistaking fear for respect. But the second you went cold, the whole act fell apart. No audience. No puppet, just a weak performer choking on their own silence. That's what exposure feels like when you were never the real thing. Imagine a king screaming from his throne, only for the crowd to turn and walk away mid-speech. That silence, that empty room, that's the moment they realized their throne wasn't marble. It was cardboard, held together by your validation, propped up by your attention, reinforced by your silence. And when you finally withdrew that energy, their entire identity deflated. They thought you needed them. They thought your presence was proof of their superiority. But the truth was ugly. They needed you to feel powerful. You were the battery in their false empire. You didn't steal their strength, you just unplugged it. And now they're stuck trying to recharge in rooms that don't even know their name. They'll never admit it, but since you left, their image has been crumbling. Not publicly, that's too risky, but behind closed doors. They're short-tempered, restless, confused, because your absence didn't just create distance, it created exposure. They're now forced to face a truth they can't spin. Without your energy, they're just another insecure soul, screaming into the void, hoping someone bites. You revealed their throne wasn't built on power. It was built on your silence. And once you broke that silence, the whole empire fell. Number 4. When you left, their world fell like a house with no frame. Funny how they only realized you held everything together after it all fell apart. They thought you were background noise, quiet, steady, forgettable. But when you walked out, so did the structure. Their whole illusion of control, of peace, of being just fine without you, turned to chaos the moment your energy disappeared. Because here's the truth they never wanted to face. You were the backbone holding their world upright, and without you, it snapped. They had you fooled for a while, didn't they? Playing calm while you were managing their storms, acting strong while you absorbed every emotional mess they created. They thought keeping you unacknowledged meant keeping you small. But the day you left without a breakdown, without asking for closure, without begging to be seen, that's the day everything around them cracked open. You weren't the background. You were the beam holding up the roof. They called you dramatic, too serious, overthinker. But now they sit in silence, staring at the emotional wreckage your absence left behind. The messages don't hit the same. The room doesn't feel grounded. Conversations feel dry. Drama crept back in like rot in the walls. You were the one who kept things steady, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You just did it so gracefully, they mistook it for nothing special. Imagine a stage held together by a single support beam. No one notices it until it's gone, and suddenly everything is unstable. That was you. Your patience masked the dysfunction. Your love softened their chaos. Your logic balanced their impulsiveness. You weren't loud about it, you just handled it. And now that you're gone, the cracks are loud as hell. They're trying to replace you, cycling through people, distractions, fake connections. But nothing fits, because it was never about what you did on the surface. It was how you moved, how you could walk into any storm and calm the air, how you could hear venom and still respond with grace. They thought they could do without you. But now they're living in the mess they swore they didn't need you to manage. You were the foundation. You didn't just leave. You let it all collapse, and the rubble proves it. Number 5, you refused to rot, and that's what destroyed them. They handed you poison and waited for you to drink it, but you watered your garden with it instead. They didn't want peace. They wanted a reaction. They wanted you angry, loud, broken, posting cryptic things just to prove you still cared. They wanted to look at your downfall and say, "See, I told you they'd crack." But you didn't crack. You transformed. You turned pain into precision, heartbreak into focus, and humiliation into silence so dignified it became divine justice. That's what they can't forgive you for. You healed instead of hating. They spent all their energy trying to make you mirror them. That's how they control people, by turning others into versions of their own dysfunction. But you didn't play along. You didn't take the bait. You didn't become what they needed you to be, angry, desperate, self-destructive. Instead, you became the version of yourself they swore you never would. That's not healing, that's revenge through evolution. Nothing humiliates a manipulator more than your calm after their chaos. Imagine them standing there, holding a lighter, waiting for the explosion, only to realize you already turned to water. Every insult they threw became a reflection, not a wound. Every lie they spread became a mirror of who they really were. You didn't defend yourself because truth doesn't argue with rumor. You just kept growing, quietly proving everything they said wrong. They hate it, that you stayed soft where they became cruel, that you learned instead of lashed out, that you turned solitude into strategy and pain into peace. You didn't let bitterness define your legacy. You let clarity do it. And the moment they realized you weren't competing anymore, that you weren't playing in their mud pit of manipulation, That's when they finally felt small. Your peace exposed their chaos. Your silence revealed their noise. Now their guilt does the haunting for you. They can't post a highlight, tell a story, or fake a smile without remembering the one person who walked through their darkness and came out shining. You were supposed to lose yourself, but instead, you lost them. And that's the plot twist they never recover from. Number 6. You outgrew their lies, and now their story doesn't make sense anymore. They told everyone you were the weak one. Now they can't explain how you became untouchable. They needed you small. That was the whole plan. They painted you as emotional, fragile, too much, too intense, not because you were, but because it gave them control. Control over the narrative, control over how others viewed you, control over how you viewed yourself. They told that story so many times, they started believing it, until you evolved right in front of their face and made their entire script fall apart. The version of you they described doesn't even exist anymore. You outgrew it. You outlived it. You became a force so powerful, so focused, so elevated, it left their entire character arc looking like fan fiction. And the worst part for them? You didn't make a scene. You didn't clap back. You didn't correct the lies. You just became undeniable. They built a false image of you, then had to watch the real you make it obsolete. Imagine this. A puppet master spends years crafting a fake tale about the marionette, clumsy, useless, dependent. Then one day, the puppet cuts its strings and walks on its own. Suddenly, the crowd isn't clapping for the master anymore. They're watching you, awestruck, inspired, and that master, left in the shadows, exposed for the fraud they always were. Your growth wasn't loud. It didn't ask for applause, but it made noise in their soul. Because every win you earned, every boundary you set, every level you hit without them, was a contradiction to their entire story. And deep down, they know, if you were never weak, never broken, never desperate, then they were never strong. They were just comfortable standing on a pedestal built from your silence. You were never their villain. You were just the truth they couldn't bury. Now their narrative is in ruins. They can't twist the plot anymore because people see you, really see you. They can't lie with the same confidence because your results scream louder than their stories. And the world? It stopped buying what they're selling. You didn't destroy their image. You simply became undeniable truth. And truth always wins in the end. Number 7. You saw through their game and walked away like a ghost with evidence. You didn't call them out. You didn't make a scene. You just vanished and left them drowning in their own reflection. They thought they were slick, that the compliments laced with envy would go unnoticed, that their fake support would be mistaken for love, that their copied behavior, their silent competition, their passive-aggressive tone would slide under your radar. But what they didn't realize is you see everything. You always did. You just didn't say anything because power doesn't announce itself. It just adjusts its proximity. What haunts them isn't exposure, it's awareness, yours. The fact that you didn't explode, didn't explain, didn't beg. You just quietly stopped giving them access and left them sitting alone with their intentions on full display, like rotting food they thought was perfectly hidden in the fridge. You weren't confused, you weren't in denial. You just observed in silence while they kept revealing themselves with every little crack in their mask. Being exposed means people find out who you are. But being seen, that means someone looked straight through your performance and smiled. Imagine this. Someone holding up a mask, thinking they're fooling everyone, and then they lock eyes with one person, you, who isn't clapping, isn't laughing, just calmly watching. That's when the panic sets in. That's when the mask starts slipping, because they can feel it, you know. You saw the jealousy behind the praise, the hidden resentment when you won, the fake concern when you were struggling, and instead of confronting it with drama, you shifted, you distanced, you stopped feeding the illusion. You became a mirror, and that mirror showed them everything they didn't want to admit about themselves. You didn't destroy them. Their reflection did. Now they flinch at your silence, not because you said anything, but because you didn't have to. That's what breaks them, the knowledge that someone in this world has seen their raw, unfiltered truth and chose to walk away without even needing revenge, just clarity. You didn't need to expose them. They exposed themselves trying to fool you, and now they're haunted by the version of themselves they never wanted anyone to see. But you did. Number 8. You were a sleeping giant, and they poked with arrogance. They thought you were harmless until your silence became the storm that swallowed everything they built. They played the wrong game with the wrong soul. They misread your quiet as weakness, your empathy as naivety, your forgiveness as softness. But they never understood the depth of what they were dealing with, because power like yours doesn't yell. It waits, it watches, it warns, and when it's finally done, it moves like a force of nature. No second chances, no mercy, no explanation. You didn't need to flex. You just kept rising. And every petty jab, every time they downplayed your worth, every snide remark behind your back, became another log in the fire they now feel burning behind them. They weren't prepared for the version of you that came after the disrespect. They expected you to break, but you rebuilt. In silence, with precision. And now, the price of underestimating you is haunting them in real time. They laughed at the seed, not knowing it was already splitting the ground beneath their feet. Imagine this. They looked at you like a cracked vase, fragile, barely holding it together. They whispered about your downfall, mocked your dreams, used your name like it meant nothing. And then one day, you came back unrecognizable. Not because you became someone new, but because you finally became who you were always meant to be. And now, they can't even look you in the eye, because you embody everything they swore you'd never reach. They underestimated your silence, not knowing it was sacred. They underestimated your slowness, not knowing it was strategic. They underestimated your kindness, not knowing it came from strength so deep it couldn't be shaken, only awakened. And now it's too late, because your presence isn't approachable anymore. It's legendary. You didn't clap back, you climbed higher, and now they need binoculars just to see where you're standing. Let them replay the moments they dismissed you. Let them sit in the discomfort of realizing they underestimated a soul that was never meant to be ordinary. You didn't just prove them wrong. You made being wrong about you the biggest mistake they've ever made. You weren't loud. You were lethal in silence. And now you are the consequence. Number 9, you turned into the truth they couldn't outrun. You didn't ruin them, you just reminded them of who they really are. You didn't have to scream, accuse, or expose them publicly. You didn't need a spotlight to burn them down. All it took was your existence, just being real in a world full of masks. Just being honest around people who mastered the art of pretending. You became the mirror they spent their entire lives avoiding, and when they looked into you, they didn't see flaws in you. They saw the truth in themselves. That's what made them panic. That's what made them twitch when you spoke. You weren't cruel. You were clear. You weren't trying to tear them down. You just refused to shrink yourself to match their fiction. And when your light hit their carefully constructed shadows, those shadows cracked. Because truth, no matter how quiet, is always louder than denial. You weren't their enemy. You were the reflection they couldn't unsee. Imagine someone who spent years crafting a flawless mask, every movement, every word, every relationship carefully staged for control, and then you walked in, raw, transparent, real. You weren't trying to play the game. You were the glitch in the system, and suddenly their lies didn't work the way they used to. Their manipulation felt clumsy. Their charm hit dead air. Because your presence didn't absorb lies, it reflected them. You showed them what real love looks like, real loyalty, real self-respect, and it didn't take long for them to realize they couldn't match it, because theirs was performative, yours was rooted, and that's when the fear set in. Not fear of you hurting them, fear that you saw through them and still stayed calm. That's a different kind of psychological collapse. Some people can't survive being seen because they've never built anything real enough to look back at them. Now that you're gone, the mirror's been shattered, but the image is burned in their mind. They can't fake it the same way. They can't run with the same confidence because you left them with the one thing they never wanted: self-awareness. And it's eating them alive. You didn't break them. You just stood still long enough for the truth to show. And now every lie they tell echoes with the memory of you. Number 10. You played chess in a room full of checkers players. They thought you were lost, but you already knew how it would end. They thought they had you cornered. They mistook your stillness for being stuck. They assumed your silence meant surrender, but what they never realized is you were never reacting. You were reading, calculating, strategizing. While they were making noise, you were mastering the entire board. They weren't playing with a fool. They were dancing with a master tactician, and now that the dust has settled, they can finally see it. You were 10 steps ahead the entire time. They relied on tricks, emotional bait, guilt traps, subtle power plays. But every move they made, you already saw coming. You didn't expose them because you were scared. You held back because it wasn't time. And when you finally moved, it wasn't just a response, it was checkmate. Quiet, clean, irreversible. You didn't panic, you positioned. Imagine someone playing checkers on a chessboard, confidently slapping pieces down, thinking they're winning, while across the table sits someone who hasn't moved yet. That was you. They thought you were frozen, but the whole time you were waiting for one thing: clarity. And when you had it, you flipped the board without a word. They didn't just lose to you, they lost to your patience, your intellect, your ability to absorb hits without breaking formation. That's what drives them crazy now. They realize they were never in control. The game was theirs, in appearance only. You let them think they were winning because the real victory was psychological. The loudest player rarely wins. It's the quiet one who controls the board. They'll never admit it, but they feel the loss. You didn't just end the dynamic, you rewrote the power balance. You made their tactics irrelevant, their manipulation laughable, their plan obsolete. They came with tricks, you came with vision. And now, every time they think about you, they remember that sick feeling in their chest, the realization that they never had you figured out. You didn't win with noise, you won with genius, and now they sit in silence, still trying to understand a game you already finished. Number 11. You stopped spinning their wheel and left them stuck in their own mess. They weren't addicted to you. They were addicted to being rescued by you. They never feared your absence. What they feared was your evolution. The moment you stopped playing your old role, the fixer, the forgiver, the emotional punching bag, everything unraveled. Because the truth is, they weren't attached to you. They were attached to the comfort of knowing you'd always come back. You'd always understand. You'd always lower yourself to rebuild what they kept breaking. But not this time. You didn't explode. You exited, not out of rage, but out of clarity. You saw the cycle for what it really was, a loop designed to drain you while feeding their dysfunction. And you finally chose to stop spinning. That move shattered them, because deep down, they weren't expecting you to leave. They were expecting you to stay and suffer quietly. You didn't stop loving them. You stopped abandoning yourself for them. Imagine someone swimming while holding another person on their back, year after year. That was you. But when you realized they weren't learning how to swim, they were just enjoying the ride, you let go. And now they're drowning in the very patterns they swore weren't a problem. They kept testing your boundaries because they believed your love would always override your standards. They saw your forgiveness as infinite, your loyalty as unconditional. But that's the twist. Your love was never the problem. Their inability to grow was. And when you stopped rescuing them, they were forced to look at their reflection without your hands holding up the mirror. You weren't cruel. You were just finally loyal to yourself. Now they call you cold, distant, changed. Of course they do. You stopped feeding the system that kept them emotionally lazy. You stopped solving what refused to evolve. You stopped giving CPR to a dynamic that was already spiritually dead. And now they're stuck in the loop alone because you broke the pattern that kept their ego alive. They didn't lose you because you were selfish. They lost you because you finally realized they were never planning to grow with you, only to lean on you until you collapsed. And you said no, and you walked, and you never looked back. Number 12. You turned their silence into your comeback speech. They thought the lack of an apology would break you. Instead, it just made your victory louder. They thought they could freeze your growth by refusing to say sorry, that you'd stay stuck, forever looping the pain, begging the universe for closure they were too cowardly to give. But here's what they never understood. You never needed their permission to heal. Their silence didn't trap you. It freed you. It showed you exactly who they were, and more importantly, who you would never be again. They believed avoiding accountability gave them power. That if they didn't explain, didn't own it, didn't acknowledge the damage, you'd keep circling, waiting. But you didn't wait. You rose, without answers, without closure, without validation. You stitched your wounds shut with your own hands and built a reality where they don't even belong in the background. They withheld a goodbye and still got left behind. Imagine this. They ghosted the apology, thinking it would paralyze you. Instead, you turned that void into fuel. Every unanswered question became motivation. Every ignored message became momentum. Every fake smile they gave others while pretending you didn't exist became another brick in the empire you built without them. And now they're stuck watching you laugh, watching you win, watching you move through life lighter, louder, and unreachable. Because here's the most brutal truth: your joy became the consequence of their silence. And they know it. Their power didn't fade because you demanded an apology. It faded because you no longer needed one. Closure isn't something they give. It's something you claim and weaponize. Every step you take without looking back is another reminder that their absence didn't delay your destiny. It activated it. They thought they left you broken, but they only proved that your healing was never in their hands to begin with. You didn't just survive, you thrived without their words, without their guilt, without their fake remorse. And now they live with it. The silence they used as punishment became your loudest statement. You moved on, you leveled up, and they were never part of the story again. Number 13. You walked in and their masks started slipping. You didn't break the room. You just walked in and made the lies suffocate. They thought the environment was solid, stable, controlled, comfortable, but it wasn't built on truth. It was built on image, on gossip, on pretense, and the moment you entered, that whole illusion trembled. Not because you exposed anyone with your words, but because your presence made fakes flinch and snakes start hissing without being touched. You didn't need to say a thing. Your silence had weight. Your authenticity disrupted performance. You carried an energy that didn't beg to be accepted. It simply existed, and in doing so, rewrote the entire vibe of the room. People who once felt dominant grew insecure. Conversations twisted into nervous half-truths. Smiles got tighter, air got thicker. You weren't loud, but your presence echoed. Real doesn't need to attack fake. It just makes it uncomfortable by showing up. Imagine a room full of dim lights, flickering but comfortable in the dark. Then someone walks in holding a torch. That's you. Not trying to shine on everyone, just being light. But suddenly, the shadows start squirming. The liars shift in their seats. The manipulators lower their eyes. Why? Because your energy didn't ask who they were. It revealed it. They can't explain it, but they felt it. That heavy pause when you entered. That subconscious adjustment. That quiet pressure to be honest around you. And the ones who couldn't, they distanced themselves fast. Not because you hurt them, but because your presence made their masks itch. You didn't expose them. They exposed themselves by reacting to the truth you carried. You didn't change the room. You reminded it what truth feels like. That's why they can't forget you. You didn't just enter. You shifted. And once a space has been rearranged by energy that real, it never settles back to its original shape. You became a glitch in their atmosphere, a ripple in their reality. And no matter how many people walk in after you, none of them will undo the change you made just by being there. You weren't loud, you were undeniable. And now, even your absence echoes louder than their presence ever did. And so, chosen one, let this truth settle in your bones. You didn't just walk away, you redefined the game. Every room, every connection, every illusion you shattered. It was all part of your rise. They'll never forget you because you didn't just leave, you left a mark, a spiritual scar they'll carry forever. If this hit you deep, drop the number 777 in the comments to let the world know you see it all now. Like, subscribe, and share this with another chosen one who needs to remember their power. This isn't the end. It's your beginning. Let's keep rising.